The Forgotten Golden Age Superhero, number 711. One of the strangest heroes of the Golden Age? Imagine a superhero who fights crime from inside a prison cell. Before Batman and Superman ruled comics, there was number 711, a hero lost to time. What made this masked vigilante so unique? And why did he vanish? Let's get into it. Unlike most superheroes, he wasn't born from science or magic, he wasn't from another planet, and he didn't have a traumatic experience as a child. He was an attorney that was framed for a crime he didn't commit. He put himself in jail, and as an attorney, he should have known better. But why did he willingly stay in jail when he could escape? Why not go on the run, fight crime at night, and have a hideout during the day? Why use his prison stay as his alibi? Let's take a look at his origin. Created by George E. Brenner and published by Quality Comics in August 1941, number 711 debuted in Police Comics number 1. This issue also had the first appearance of Plastic Man, the Human Bomb, Firebrand, and Phantom Lady. That's some lineup there, huh? This is like he was came out swinging in the huge comic. They all made the cover, but 711 did not. But just because he didn't make the cover doesn't mean he should be forgotten. Police Comics would be full of new heroes every month. Slapstick humor and zany action was par for the course. Many were there for it, and many were there for number 711, a gritty noir-type character who had a rap sheet, including perjury and conspiracy. He also had somewhat of a catchphrase. I'm 711, and my place is back behind these walls. After the first issue, the origin and template was set for 711's character and plot formula. He finally made the cover in Police Comics number 2. Now let's go back to issue 1 and go over his origin just a little bit more. He starts out as an attorney, but by committing to help a friend, ends up in jail. His name is Daniel Dyce, and his friend, Jacob Horn, has a wife about to give birth. Horn won't be able to attend the delivery of his baby because of a slight snag. He's about to serve a life sentence in prison. The two friends form a plan. Dyce will confess to Horn's crime, so Horn can visit his wife in the hospital. After the birth, Horn will turn himself in and clear Dyce's name. A crazy plan for someone that's an attorney, and very, very risky, as we shall find out. The plan falls apart when Horn crashes his car en route to the hospital. Things get worse as Horn dies, and now no one can clear Dyce, who is trapped in jail. Dyce has no choice but to tunnel out of jail each night and adopt a crime-fighting identity. He wears a cloak and hat and begins to fight crime. He uses a boat as his escape, which is stashed below in a prison tunnel. Basing his costume persona on his prison number, Dyce becomes number 711, a masked vigilante who punishes criminals by night and returns to his prison cell each morning. Sounds a little bit odd and sounds a little bit risky, but let's see how this thing turns out here. His calling card is a mirrored business card with prison bars on it to show criminals their future. As they looked at the card, their reflection was behind bars due to the mirror format of the card. It's kind of funny, right? Number 711's prison setting is a great alibi for his crime-fighting activities. But does it seem too impractical? Was it a silly idea? Or is it ahead of its time? Did his double life as a prisoner and crime fighter make him unique? It seems like a cool setup. Daniel Dyce, a district attorney, takes the fall for a friend's crime. But while locked up in jail, he secretly sneaks out through a tunnel, which leads to a boat. And at night he fights crime. He has no superpowers, just wits, strength, and a mysterious cloak. By sunrise, he returns to his prison cell. The template is there for numerous repeating stories, perfect for a serialized comic book, and a longer story is there also, which goes unresolved every issue. When will he get out of his jail sentence? a nice larger canon Bible story. And for every individual issue, there's a larger story. It's kind of cool, actually. From a crime-fighting perspective, 7-Eleven's decision to remain in jail pays off in the form of prison gossip, allowing Dyce to eavesdrop on the plans of his fellow inmates and their crooked associates on the outside. This is his source on all the underworld schemes taking place. It gives him an advantage for his crime-fighting activities. That's pretty cool, right? That's kind of a unique advantage. On more than one occasion, the crooks who get caught by 7-Eleven end up in the same prison as Dyce. None the wiser that he put them there. This gives Dyce enough satisfaction to make him keep returning to prison each morning, to take stock on all the good he's done the night before. This satisfaction keeps him in place as an inmate. So there's a little bit of a reason for the staying in place in jail. And I guess it's somewhat clever. It does give him an angle. It gives him an advantage. Daniel Dyce would communicate from the outside world through hidden messages in newspapers. Just like his persona, his messages were hidden in plain sight. While most superheroes worked outside the law, Dyce worked inside it. Literally, right? You might think this is a kooky Golden Age concept, but there have been movies with similar plots, like The Night Visitor, 1971, about a man locked in an asylum. He escapes at night to commit murder, then returns to his cell at sunrise, and uses his cell as his alibi, which is very much the same, somewhat the same idea that 7-Eleven is doing, right? That's his alibi every night. Where were you? Fighting crime, vigilante? No, I was locked up in jail. How is he different from other Golden Age heroes? He was a darker pulp-style noir character, and his storytelling set him apart from typical masked heroes. His stories had a noir tone, with crime and betrayal at every turn. He was always surrounded by criminals and villains, and they didn't know who he was. Maybe amping up the suspense there. 7-Eleven is basically a street-level vigilante who captures thugs, crooks, and gangsters. He wasn't superpowered, just smart, strong, and determined. His arch-villain is known as Oscar Jones' Racketeer. One of his foes is really out there, a bat-masked figure in a lime green suit who kills by throwing exploding bricks, loaded with deadly gas. This figure is known as Brickbat, and wears a cowl similar to Batman. He does look a lot like Batman. If some of the pictures I'm showing you guys, you can see, which is somewhat interesting. But there was probably, in the Golden Age, there was all of these superheroes that they were throwing around. So, Superman, Batman himself is a composite of so many heroes.
I'm vengeance.
But why didn't 7-Eleven or his villains last long in the comics world? Why did they vanish? Unlike most Golden Age heroes, 7-Eleven was actually killed off. It wasn't the typical comic book death, fake death that we have, where they come back a month later. 7-Eleven was replaced by a new hero, Destiny, who took over his storyline. Quality Comics later merged into DC Comics, but 7-Eleven was forgotten and never relaunched. So how did it all end? His run ended abruptly in 1943, after only a handful of issues. In Police Comics number 15, he met his end. It was shockingly abrupt, and they didn't bring him back. So 7-Eleven never really made it out of the Golden Age. He was unceremoniously killed off in a fight with Oscar Jones' Racketeer, who fatally shot him. A psychic detective named Destiny took on the case in Police Comics, and 7-Eleven comes back as a ghost to help him solve the case. But after the case is solved, the ghost of 7-Eleven doesn't return, and Destiny takes over 7-Eleven's feature slot in the comic book. He's a psychic detective, and as a psychic detective storyline replaces 7-Eleven. Daniel Dyce, number 7-Eleven, never returns. But why did Quality Comics let him fade into obscurity? Do you think it was a good decision? Are some of these forgotten Golden Age heroes not conducive to our modern eras? I mean, are they just not cool enough? Do you think he's clunky and not very interesting? How about a comeback? A hero with such a unique setting and origin might work well in modern comics or even movies. dark, suspenseful, and full of untapped potential? What if DC revised him for a gritty detective story today? Do you think it would work in the modern era? Maybe in the Absolute line? Absolute number 711? What do you guys think? Would you put it on your pull list? Would you update him to hashtag 711? Alright guys, wrapping this up. 711 may not be a household name, but his story, some would argue, was ahead of its time. He confessed to a crime he didn't commit, and while serving his sentence, becomes a caped crusader. He based his costume persona on his prison number 711. And he walked around with his prison number, and it was on the back. A lot of people could see it. He escapes at night to fight crime, and then returns to prison before sunrise, using his prison cell as his alibi. He also gathers information from the prisoners while inside, learning about various schemes and criminal plots about to take place. He fights villains like Brickbat, a bat-masked figure in a lime green suit who throws exploding bricks. It's zany, but it's the Golden Age, and it's fun. I mean, you kind of have to admit it. Did his dark, unconventional arc pave the way for other anti-heroes we love today? Could a revival of number 711 work in modern comics? Would you want him to return? Have you heard of 711 before? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And thank you again so much for watching. Check out my other videos, and I will see you guys next time.
It's a trap!